Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, good afternoon, DCL Patreon fans, and for those of you who will be listening to it later, DCL podcast fans, welcome to our March Cabana's live episode. And joining me today, down in Florida.
I am well, Steve. How are you?
Not too bad. Was that Blake?
Yes.
Chad, we had nothing to worry about. The noise is coming from someplace else.
My son, who I haven't heard in a bathtub in months and months, is having himself a little party in the adjacent room.
For all the distractions we were afraid of coming from my house, it wasn't even my house.
Joining us today, he is back from doing some beer tasting in Germany and keeping up on all the things going on over at the myriad company, our roving reporter, shipboard reporter, and one of our favorite Patreons, and just a huge supporter and contributor to our podcast. Chad, thanks for coming on tonight.
Oh, don't I wish that were the case for all of that, but doing well, Steve. Thanks for having me. Excited to be back.
And instead, really, the reality of it was you've got a raccoon emergency on hand tonight, and really that's what you were dealing with, and not coming back from Germany chasing beers.
Apologies to anybody who hears my dog scrambling or whining upstairs about the raccoon that's up the tree in the backyard. So yeah, we'll see how this goes.
It's always something, isn't it? Okay, we're going to jump right into it. Get a bunch of different topics we're going to talk about tonight. It's been a month. Our last Cabana show was in January. We missed February. It has been crazy. I think Christy and I and Chad, probably your family too, can attest to it. It's like just nonstop. I don't know what happened with the time, but it's just going like crazy. But we're going to start with the first topic, and that is the fact that the Tron coaster, and everybody's probably seen pictures of it, is going on there at Walt Disney World. And Christy, you and your family had a chance to ride it, or at least I know you and Dave did. Why don't you take that away?
Yeah, we all rode it. We had the opportunity to do a pass holder preview on Saturday. And then actually, we also secured a DVC preview on Sunday. So Dave has been able to enjoy it twice. He will say that it's very smooth. He also, so I did math, which, if anybody knows me, it's impressive that I did math. But we waited about 1 minute per second of the ride to get through the line and get to being on the ride. And I'm not sure every minute of waiting is worth 1 second of ride. It's a very short ride. And frankly, it's 57 seconds. The only reason I probably got on that Tron light cycle coaster, which is like a motorcycle, is because it's only 57 seconds long, because I am a wimp. Slinky Dog Dash is my coaster. Let's just put that out there so everybody knows. It's got some thrills. It's got some entertainment value. It's fun. That's my coaster. This is not that. It's very scary. And our Patreons have a new Instagram page just for them. And I showed some video of myself before I got on there. And then Dave and I talked about it after the fact. So it's a very smooth ride. It's very fast, very, very fast. And you're on this light cycle, right? Which is your motorcycle. And I would say it's very uncomfortable. And I don't think I'm the only one that said that. And I actually have a bruise on my knee, on a part of my body. Like, my knee was not sore, that knee in that area. I am not a big fan of the fact that now I have a sore knee on the opposite of my regularly sore knee, because of how the seat contraption works. So, and Blake really, so he rode. And he thought he would be just fine. He was a little arrogant, actually, before the ride, and not a fan at all. But because it's pretty dark in the middle. But actually, one of our listeners, Ivy, said to sit in the middle sections to be able to see the light cycle in front of you if the darkness is going to be a concern to you. Like, if you want to know where you're going, that was huge, great advice. So there was the accessibility section in the back, which is like a normal seat. So if you don't want to be light cycling, but you still want to be able to do the ride, you have that option. I'm curious how it'll go because it's a very long, we think the queue will be pretty long, or even if they do the virtual queue like they've been doing everywhere else, it's, Guardians is a 3.5 minute ride. That is a very big difference of time than a 57-second ride. So if you have to wait in an hour queue, even with the virtual queue, like for a 3.5 minute ride, okay, but for a 57-second ride, I don't know. So I feel like we'll see how the excitement goes, but it's very fast. So people that are into really fast are going to really enjoy it. There's thrills. There's no like huge drops. So if your stomach like drops out because it's such a drop, I didn't experience that, but it really does go quite fast. My eyes may have watered because of the fear I was having throughout that ride. The lady behind me was having herself the best time. She was super excited, but she was screaming the whole way through like the fast part in the middle, or like when you go outside. And I couldn't even make words come out. Like I had too much fear to make anything come out. It's also incredibly loud. So when you're inside in the dark part, it's so loud that you can't speak to the person next to you at all. So those are, I guess, would just be notes for people with kids. But I know that Steve from Tampa, his son went on the ride over the weekend, and the one that was tall enough, those kids loved it. I think there was like his son and a little friend. And then there are other people whose kids went, and so from a kid perspective, still thought it was thrilling and exciting. So my little guy, not a fan, but also he was not a fan of Guardians either.
Derry says, I think I'll sit that one out. Chad, questions?
So, I mean, it's a bit of a weird riding position, right? So I can see where you could get weird, like where maybe you don't recognize that you're getting weird bruises in knees. And I've seen like, because how those bars like kind of come over on you. So depending on how the forces are, you could totally see how that happens. So you're mentioning the 57 seconds. Disney claims it's much longer, but from what I've gathered, they're counting the time in the loading area as part of the ride, which is just that's some serious fuzzy math that you're trying to basically count that.
Yeah, the Patreons can see my face right now. Yeah. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In the pre-show, are they counting it from the pre-show too? Because the pre-show is all of 1 second. It's actually very cool. I did say this in a little Patreon clip that I made, that I'm not going to tell you what you see, but this little girl came up next to me and said, "Can I stand here?" And because we were just standing in front of this door, and she's like, I watched it on YouTube. It's going to be magic. And this little girl was so right. Now everybody who goes on this is going to think of it, and there is magic, and that's all I'm going to say. So if you don't want any spoilers there, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's pretty cute. And that's like a second long too. So I am here for all of that shortness.
So you mentioned that the queue is going to be pretty long. Did you get to walk the whole queue, or did they sort of rush you into like the loading area? Because I'm curious to see like what the queue, and I've not watched the videos. I purposely would probably stay away from them. But is there like cool stuff to see while you're having to sort of stand there and wait? No?
Most of the queue's outside. And then they have like these umbrellas that cover up like, at least as far as we could see, most of the queues outside. They have these umbrellas that cover up like one tiny area. And then it's a cool, like you've seen the pictures, I'm sure, of just the people in that domed area. So it's all very cool. But there's not really anything to look at.
Is the queue then under that big wavy dome looking thing then? And then like it's inside of like where the ride is? So the ride's kind of going around you? It's
like the dome thing is to the left, and most of the queue is just on the concrete to the right.
Okay.
Hopefully they put the umbrellas up for the
There's
summer.
Like 2 fancy looking umbrellas that cover like one part. I guess I would say this is a place to bring your parasol for now. And like
And Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway has the same problem, right? Because it's that lineup, it tends to be outside in that blazing heat where there's no shade right there in the middle of Hollywood Studios, and it is in the summertime, it is relentless.
And where Tron is, it's literally concrete. It's like there's not a tree to be had. So in that area, so yeah, you're not getting coverage there. I would bring an umbrella parasol with you.
Okay, so 2 questions. You've talked about, maybe being a little bit more adventurous to ride it. How long is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train? Is that about the same
2 minutes?
Time? 2 minutes? Wow. So
to
me that feels
Seven Dwarfs is short. Yeah. We should Google it. Okay. But I was grateful that it was very short. Literally, the only reason I went on that ride is because it was short. Let's be honest, because I knew, and that's the other thing. I made giant assumptions about the fact that I was not going to like it ahead of time.
Yeah.
And the closer I got, the more afraid I got. It was fast. I could not talk myself into liking that for me.
You talked yourself out of it before you got on. So, okay, here's the last question. Any type of motion sickness stuff, kind of like Guardians? Nothing like that, really?
Not to the Guardians level. When I got off Guardians, I was like, and there was people throwing up everywhere getting off Guardians. I was not to that level. I got a weird sensation when I got off Guardians. I had the slightest, I took no Dramamine. I had the slightest bit of motion sickness. Like maybe I'm reading in a car for a little too long. It wasn't like, most people said it's too short and it's too fast to have motion sickness.
Okay.
2 minutes and 50 seconds. That's how long Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is, which that surprised me too. It doesn't feel that long. Yeah.
That is a lot. I would have thought that was short.
Now that's Wikipedia.
Yeah, there you go.
So who knows, right?
There is though
take it for what it's worth.
Where you're just sitting and watching, going past, which is still part of the ride. So I imagine that's why it's so long. And you have that incline too, but then you're looking at the Snow White. So I can see how it could be that long, but like the ride part isn't that long. Yeah.
They're probably not counting the loading area, at least though.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, let's move on to topic number 2. Disney is building a new ship, and then they're actually converting another ship. Chad, you've done such a good thing of keeping up with the different ships and what's going on at Myriad. Any news about the Disney Treasure? What have you come up with?
Yeah, so it's kind of my thing, right? That's we all have our things. That's my thing. So the Treasure is yet to start assembly, from what we can tell. There have been a number of blocks arriving at Meyer Werft since about the end of October. If you check out the webcam frequently, as I do, you'll notice that the bulbous bow has been moved inside the building.
See that 3 times fast.
Strange words to say. Yeah, bulbous bow, bulbous. And if you look to the left, there appears to be a bridge section being built, because you can kind of see where the wings are, kind of where the captain would kind of step out and stuff like that a little bit. It can't be for the Carnival Jubilee, because the Jubilee already has that one. It could be, I think there's a Silver Sea something that they're also building, but it looks too big for that because that's being actually built in a different hall. So it's probably for the Treasure. But at this point, everything is still kind of unassembled. Jubilee still is still to the back of the building at this point. So they're going to need, in order to basically start to really build the Treasure, they're going to need to basically move the Jubilee backwards. And then get it ready to start floating out. That looks like it's still probably a little bit away. So I'm hoping that they can move the Jubilee backwards, then we can start basically assembling the keel sections, and then we can have a keel laying ceremony. So a couple of months, maybe.
Wow, maybe you really have done your treasure stalking research.
This is my thing, man.
This is awesome.
So, I mean, because if you look at the building, right, the ship is up against where the wall is. That wall, so if you look at the building, like where they float the thing out, that's to the right. Jubilee is all the way in the back. So they've got to move it backwards. And so really what's going to have to happen is they're going to have to flip the positions of where the bulbous bow is and then where the where the Jubilee is now. Now they could probably basically lift that bulbous bow on the crane and move it over there once they move it back. I don't think they'll need to move it back out of the building. But in order to get all those other hull pieces in there, I got to figure out like how they're going to then move those into place. It's like a big, one of those games that we had as kids where you had to like move the sections around. It's kind of like that.
It's like a
but it's fun.
So I think the one thing that we could sort of expect, I mean, obviously things can happen with manufacturing, is that because it's a sister ship to the Wish, and they've already built the Wish, they should have a pretty good handle on and building the treasure. Obviously, there'd probably be some changes to it. Probably not expecting anything major, but right now, from what we can tell, it should be sailing the end of 2024. Any idea on a timeline as far as when bookings would happen, Christy? Or I'm throwing you on the spot here. No, I don't remember how far out was for the Wish.
I mean, if it's the fall season of 2024, then it would be, well, we haven't had spring or summer yet, but so May, June.
Yeah.
It really depends. They haven't remember how late the January was? And it came really late. So I don't know. Yeah.
We'll see.
We need summer first.
When they announced the Wish, I can't remember, did they announce those separately from the rest of the itineraries, meaning that they'd already had announced that season and for the existing 4 ships, and then they did a special announcement and release for Wish? I can't remember how that worked.
Well, it was its own announcement, wasn't it? Because we had to book based upon the number of sailings. Like if you had 25 plus or 20 plus or something. Maybe we should have paid more attention to that for the Pearl level.
The pre-Pearl stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Pearl preview. Much like the Tron preview.
Yes, it was separate. Sorry, I can't see. I'll have to pull that up.
That's right. I forgot about the whole 25 cruise thing and breaking up Platinum. I forgot about that.
Okay. Anything else about the treasure, Chad?
Nope. Anxiously waiting to see what happens there.
Well, we also know that Disney, and I think it's going to go forward because we're not hearing any news differently as far as the Global Dream, which they bought for pennies on the dollar, and they're converting. Speculation is that the Global Dream, and we really haven't seen much about it right now at this point, as far as there's no pictures or anything that have come out about it or anything that you've seen.
No, I did some looking today knowing that we were going to record and talk about this a little bit. There's really been no news. I was actually searching for newspaper things in Wismar, Germany and stuff like that. The latest thing I could find was really from about a couple of months ago, where they were announcing that they were going to bring back about 650 workers from the old MV Werften shipyard. So the Scott Sanders actually had something on this a few weeks ago that talked about that they'd hired 75, and then another 75 were supposed to be coming back soon, with more to come after that. But yeah, largely not a lot of news coming there.
Okay, but and with this is a little bit of geeky stuff. I know some people are kind of interested in this as far as the ships go, but the company that built the Global Dream, they have started selling off the other ships as well, and one of them went for sale this past week, right, Chad?
Yeah. So the World Dream, which is actually, this kind of puts a bookend on one of the topics that we talked about when we did that the World Dream or the Global Dream show. So that was sitting idle in Singapore for basically since the pandemic, and was sold to kind of a new cruise entity called Cruise Saudi. So Cruise Saudi is the way that I kind of have read it was it's kind of the government of Saudi Arabia. It's kind of part of their public investment fund, and it's basically to grow cruise passengers and cruise ports within Saudi Arabia, with the goal of having 5 separate ports within Saudi Arabia for passengers to go through. Their goal is, I think, 1 million passengers by 2028. So this, from what I can tell, is the first cruise ship that they're going to own. They're co-developing another kind of luxury yacht with a hotel group in Saudi Arabia, but this is the first sort of mass market cruise ship that they are now going to take over and operate. And then now, again, trying to attract other cruise companies to start to visit those ports that they're going to be developing in Saudi Arabia.
And if you've never been over there, actually, it's kind of got some interesting destinations that they could stop at. You've got Dubai. You could get over to the Red Sea and possibly stop in the western side of Saudi Arabia, and then get into Egypt as well. It's some of the best scuba diving and snorkeling is actually in the Red Sea. There's a huge industry there for some of the clearest water. So it could be an interesting place if you're adventurous to go and sail.
Someday. It's not on my current calendar, but not to say that it won't be someday. That ship is almost brand new too, right? It was brand new in 2017. It came out of the same shipyard, so Meyer Werft that builds the Dream, Treasure, and Fantasy, and Wish. But so it sailed for 2-3 years and then shut down. So it's practically a brand new ship.
Anything else about those two ships, and Chad, that
nope,
you're able to cover up? Okay, Christy,
nope,
any thoughts about sailing over to Saudi Arabia? No, you're shaking your head. Also, I am not making light of it all. In all honesty, there's some really amazing destinations that you could stop at. Some great scuba diving and whatnot, and also a lot of history that you could possibly get into. But so if you're adventurous, maybe that might be something to look into for you and your family. So I'm guessing there's probably not too many people on our podcast that listen to our podcast that are going to be heading that way, but you just never know.
You never know.
So let's move on to the Pearl Castaway Club perks, which came out here recently. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it, I think, on our show, or one of the shows that we've done, which is yet to come out. But I thought it would be worth at least touching on this. I can't remember. What was I going to do this? Or I was going to do this one, right? Okay. Sorry. All right. So Disney Cruise Line came out and they announced their new Castaway Club, which is going to be the Pearl level. So after you've sailed 25 times, you'll be able to move into that Pearl. I do wonder, don't you guys wonder if there's going to be like kind of a breakdown once the Treasure comes out to like, oh, you're Pearl, but are you 50, sailings or whatever else?
50's a lot, maybe.
Yeah, kind of how they broke it down last time. But for the most part, the main benefit is you get to book 4 days before the general public. My guess, and we were kind of speculating this, is they rolled this out now so that they can hopefully people who are Pearl can take advantage of the summer 2024 bookings. They also get an unlimited photos through the onboard photo package, which any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So we talked about this, I don't know where, maybe via text or maybe in the Patreon group, but it's like a perk that doesn't really cost Disney money, because the reality is if you look at the number of Pearl cruisers, most of them probably don't purchase the photo package, even if they purchase a photo here or there or a couple of photos. But what is I think that the number of them that book and pay for the unlimited photo package is not much, but it looks like such a big gift they're giving, because they're giving this, $400 or $300 photo package. It really depends on the length of your cruise, right? And so, but Disney wasn't going to make the money off that photo package anyway. So they're not losing money on something they could have made money on.
Right. Any thoughts, Chad?
Do they need to, so they still third-party contract Shutters or whatever it's called now out, correct? So is Disney still going to have to pay something to Shutters because those people take the package? That's what I wonder. So it may actually cost them something, but to your point, small. For what they're getting out of this, it's nothing.
Right.
So those are the two different perks that you get outside of, or once you make Pearl and you pass Platinum. I think you had a good point on this. And the more I think about it, I think this makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, because it might reduce some of the congestion of people trying to get pallet dinners. But Chris, you made a point that as Platinum and Pearl, you get one free, well, I'm not going to go to all the specifics. You get a free dinner at Palo, which is basically $45 per person, adults in your stateroom that you're going to get. It doesn't cover everything. It's not. Well,
it doesn't cover gratuities. Frankly, right. You get the prefix and/or buffet price at Palo. At brunch, it does include your gratuities. It does not include your gratuities at dinner. So that is going to be something that is an extra out-of-pocket expense.
But I think you had a good point in the sense that maybe a better thing to do, or something that I thought it's worth considering, is maybe you get a voucher for that money instead, where you could use it elsewhere on the ship.
Yeah, because let's say they still give me $45 and I go and take that $45 and spend, $150 now at the shops. They're still getting a markup and they're selling Palo to somebody else. The likelihood is, because we know that there's a lot of either first-time cruisers or even those cruisers that have gone 1 to 5 times, they aren't even able to get into Palo when they are trying. And frankly, from a platinum level standpoint, it's a perk for me to go to Palo. Even if I have to tip a little extra, even if I have to pay a little extra for certain things, it's still a really nice steakhouse meal that they're giving me. So because I am one of those people that if I'm given something, I want to utilize it, I am going to Palo. Whereas I probably I wouldn't go every single sailing maybe if it wasn't an included perk at this point.
Right. So we're not saying take away the ability to go to Palo, but you get to choose whether you want to go to Palo, or maybe on a cruise, you want to go to use it at the spa.
Or Enchante.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me use it for a meal that I'm still going to spend lots of money on, but let me at least have a little discount off of it. Because that's the other problem. If you think about Enchante on a 3-night cruise on the Wish, for example, which is where you're going to find it, and you have your platinum guest, I don't have enough time for all of these meals. So maybe I could spend more money and go to Enchante and then skip out on my Palo Steakhouse dinner.
Derry also says, I agree, an onboard credit would be a smarter perk for DCL to offer. Any thoughts on that, Chad? I thought that was kind of an interesting idea.
It just, yeah, I think it's a good idea, number one, but it's just like, it's the whole like Palo dinner thing. I mean, to say, hey, okay, this is a perk that the Pearl's going to get. I mean, I'm looking at some of the lists, and it's all the things that they're already getting at Platinum. So it just feels like, I mean, I think I texted you at one point, Steve, about it, and it was like, okay, now you get to book it 123 days out instead of 120 days. So now you get to give your Disney your money sooner before your cruise. That's what a perk. Sorry.
I like the cynicism there. No, that makes me laugh. I love it. In addition to this, Pearl Castaway Club members will get an exclusive stateroom gift. No more sling backpacks or the cooler backpacks for Pearl. We'll find out here soon. Once.
Now that's cool. I mean, give them something special like that. I saw some of the pearl colored tumblers or whatever they had. That's adorable. That's cool. Like
and it doesn't cost them that much money.
No, because there's like 7 of them on every ship. Honestly,
I mean, there's more than that, but
25 or more. Right. You think? Probably. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
All
Anyways.
Right, cool.
I think, and I have no basis for this whatsoever, but I think there's still a little bit more to come. We'll see if Disney rolls out anything else once the summer 2024 dates come out and the sailings start celebrating the 25th anniversary this summer, and it kind of starts kicking in a little bit closer to when those Pearl Castaway Club members can use their stuff. So we shall see. Christy, on to number 5.
And to that end, Disney has shown some of the Silver Anniversary collection. So we've got some sneak peeks on the Shimmering Seas merchandise. So it's a light turquoise and silver trim. They're drawing inspiration from the seas. Oh, Steve, he writes up these little notes for all of us. They did have a Spirit jersey, shocking to nobody. They have ears. They do have a Nike polo, which is kind of cool, actually. If anybody's curious why I don't love Nike, reach out to me and I will privately tell you, but I might purchase something Nike because I really did like that polo. And then 3 new Pandora charms. I have a feeling Steve's going to have to buy something for Wake. And then there is a bracelet by Chrisloo, which I don't remember seeing. I'm going to have to go back and look. And a necklace by Rebecca Hook, which is no relation to Captain Hook. Again, thanks, Steve.
Got to sneak them in when I can.
So I feel like I need more. I hope that these are just the sneak peeks and we're getting more, because to be honest, except for that Nike polo for Dave, none of this really caught me as something that personally I had to run out and purchase. So I am And I like to spend some money on merch. So even though they might think that us repeat cruisers and repeat Disney World people are the waste of space on the ship, what I feel like JPEG said, or one of those earning calls, they said something about us. What was it that they said about annual pass holders in the parks that we were?
I forget
the word that they use.
Everybody on, come on, Lake, tell us. Everybody on the listening now are screaming at us.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't come up with it.
Derry did make jokes that we missed before, though, about how maybe Pearl guests could get a gold tiara, a tiara to wear around the ship. And then she's like, I'll just save money and not go on 26 cruises and get my own. Unfavorable mix. And they said, Chris knows what it is. She needed to be here so that she can say it. So yeah, that's the thing is give me something to buy, Disney. Come on. I want to spend my money.
I think they'll have more, but it seems like they always roll out. I'm like looking at what, the pictures and stuff like that. It's like the backpack. What is it? Loungefly that makes those. And then you've got, the ears and the Spirit jersey that everybody had. Oh, hey, Dennis is in San Diego. Hope you're having a great time there. Can't wait to hear about your sailing on the Wonder. So have a great time down there, Dennis. But they always show the same stuff, but they eventually have a lot more. Well, I don't want to say a lot, but hopefully it'll be better than what they did at Christmas and Halloween this year.
At Christmas, we got one turbot, which we both own. See?
And a super cheap t-shirt that looked like they could have made it at the mall or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that t-shirt wasn't... who bought that? I hope nobody, because it was not good.
No. Chad, any thoughts about
merchandise? No, I looked at that merchandise and like you guys were saying, there's not a lot for me there. I thought the polo was pretty cool, but that's about it. And then the necklace I thought was the one by Captain Hook's niece, or is it unconfirmed whether it's Captain Hook's niece. I thought that was actually really cool. That is something I might actually would perhaps get for my wife or something like that. But the rest of it, we don't buy Loungefly backpacks. We're not into Spirit jerseys. We're not into some of that stuff.
I like the colors though. What do you think? It's kind of like kind of a little off from the 50th anniversary. I don't think it's like these like more subdued colors. I don't know. Does that have, I'm not sure if subdued's the right word, but
yeah, I think they're pretty.
Yeah. I
don't think they match the rest of the ship.
Okay.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like it's red and that dark blue for the rest of the DCL colors. And so turquoise and white, it's silver. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. It's pretty. And it gives them more stuff to sell. Can we talk for 1 second before we move on to this topic that as a reminder, they're giving everybody who sails on a silver anniversary at sea, which like starts in May and ends in maybe September or the end of August. I think maybe Labor Day still. One of those pieces of art from, it's like a Mickey poster basically. And you guys know what I'm talking about? Everybody's following?
Yep.
And why is it just Mickey? Like, where is Captain Minnie? So nice of them to give us something, but just Mickey? Like, why are we just bringing him back out again?
I actually haven't seen the picture. So you've seen what it looks like?
You haven't seen the picture? It's been
no. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, Chad.
I've not followed along. I haven't followed along with this because we're not going to be sailing on any of these. So I'm like, I'm checking out.
All right. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's the.
Yeah. I did see that. That's
the picture you can pick on your when you go to My Disney Experience and everything like that. I think.
Or it looks like it looks like the kind of sticker you get when you go on an excursion.
That's it. They blew up the sticker from the excursion.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
Yeah, just print one of those. Good to go.
I mean, this isn't really great podcasting at the moment, but you guys Google it. Google the Mickey picture that's being given out with the silver at sea and join Patreon because then you could have seen it too.
If you've ever been in the Mickey group on an excursion, you already have it. No worries.
This is true.
Stay keeping a permanent sticky spot on your shirt for the rest of time.
Darius also says, I think they took the 100th anniversary and added a blue tint for DCL, which is kind of what I thought. It's very similar. Just instead of being purpley, it's turquoise, I guess, and silvery. Okay, Chad, Disney Cruise Line's rolling back 2 itineraries. This is a small change, but the reason why I put this one down there is I think, Christy, I think you could touch on this a little bit as far as your itineraries can change on cruises. It doesn't happen very often, but as we found in 2023, they are changing 2 itinerary stops over in Europe. And some of this is just my thoughts as to why they're doing it. And so it's not, we don't know for sure exactly why they did it, but I thought I'd put my thoughts in there. Chad, you can touch on it. And Christy, if you could talk about that, sometimes ports can change.
Am I talking about the ports can change right now?
Well, Chad, why don't you jump on it and then you can finish it up. You're the closer. We're bringing you in the end.
So all right. So the 2 ports that they're switching out. So on all the sailings,
the heavy hitter. The heavy hitter at the end.
Yeah, sure. So on both sailings, so the Amsterdam is being replaced by Rotterdam. So the thought I think here is that the Dream is considerably bigger than the Magic was. So the ability to basically put that many passengers through the port of Amsterdam may be challenging. What's interesting is, and I'll pull it back to the shipbuilding stuff, right? So in Rotterdam is one of the Meyer Group shipbuilding areas. So that's where Neptune Werft is. So if you'd like to go visit where the floating engine room units are produced and a whole bunch of other components, that's maybe your tour when you're in the Rotterdam area. But it's about a 30-minute drive to downtown Amsterdam from Rotterdam, so not too far. But I think the ability to probably process a larger ship is probably easier at that port. And then the other one is that Sandus is being replaced by Stavanger. Did I pronounce that right? Stavanger. Probably a lot of the same process with just being able to basically have a bigger ship there. But Steve, you'd made some notes in here that basically talk about there's a lot of excursions and things to do in Stavanger. I've not been there myself, so can't vouch for any of them.
Steve was supposed to talk about this.
I totally forgot.
I'm winging it at this point, baby.
Doesn't have the live notes in front of him. Instead, pulled up his napkin where he wrote up some notes 7 hours ago.
But this affects the August 19th 7-night Norwegian Fjords cruise and the September 3rd Northern European and Norwegian Fjords cruise.
So Derry has a good point here too. This is probably the main reason too. Maybe is last summer. She was on the Magic and they had to put in north of Amsterdam because the water levels were really low in Europe. They were under severe drought. And I think that drought is continuing through the summer as well, or through the winter right now over there. So that could be another main reason as to why they're moving the Dream over to Rotterdam. And we kind of had that problem when we went to Marseille, was that a lot of the excursions were outside of the city, but you had to drive through the city because the ship was parked right downtown. And so, I mean, that was a good hour, 45 minutes on either side, just getting out of the city, which really ate into the time that we spent doing the excursion. So maybe going to Rotterdam might be a smarter thing. And you can still, if you want to go to Amsterdam, make it in there. It's only about 20, 30 minutes away.
And
go ahead, Christy.
A ton of excursions are in Rotterdam. So there's a lot of excursions out there.
So Gary says she went to Stavanger last summer and loved it. Guests are upset because the other port was further into the fjords, but Stavanger is truly great. Christy, why don't you touch on the fact that, it's something that we sign off on when we sign the cruise agreement, that things can change.
The cruise contract, when you book and there's notes to it on your invoice and online and everywhere, basically says Disney can change your ports at any time with zero compensation to you. The one thing that I will give Disney where they're a little bit better than other lines is they'll at least let you cancel or move your sailing if the ports, for the most part, if the ports changes are so consequential to you that you no longer want to go wherever it's going. So Disney has always been really good about that. And a lot of times, if you're cruising and they have to change something, they'll compensate the passengers on board in some way, more than just returning their port expenses, because they're required by law to do that, or required by the contract to do that. But they will also typically compensate the passengers, which is something other cruise lines don't do. So typically this is the case. Sometimes for weather, they won't. So just something to keep in mind. But yes, you agree to it. you agree that you are getting on a ship and getting off a ship, typically on such and such days. And if they have to make a change, that they are within their abilities to do so per the cruise contract.
And sometimes they do it beneficial to you too. This happened, although this cruise actually didn't go because it was our 2020 Greek cruise. They actually changed one of the ports. They swapped the ports around because they found that in one of the smaller ports, there's actually going to be 3 ships there one day, and they swapped it to a different day. So the Magic was going to be the only ship. So they were really good about that. I think they sent a message out probably 3 or 4 months before we were supposed to sail, or maybe it was even further than that, to let everybody know that they were doing that. So you could change plans. Like if you'd made your own port excursions outside of Disney Cruise Line, you were able to do that. But sometimes they do it for benefit, where it may benefit you as well. So Chad, have you ever had any experiences like that?
Literally. So I was going to let this go, but since Christy kind of brought it up and it dovetails with something you just mentioned. So we were supposed to visit Marseille, and so you're just talking about the port of Marseille, Marseille. And in 2024 on a Royal Caribbean cruise, and 2 days ago, we just got a notification that port was dropped, and it's now a sea day. So it happens. Now it's 18 months away and all kinds of stuff like that. So not super surprised that the itinerary slightly changes, but as of right now, that's now a sea day. We're not visiting port that day.
Go ahead.
They did that, made sea days Disney did out of their St. Petersburg cruises last summer. So they did not add in different ports, at least not initially. I don't know whatever ended up happening if they did change it after the fact, but yeah, now they were sea days, which is.
I don't mind. I love sea days personally. Yeah. So, and it's such a busy itinerary in Europe anyway. I don't mind the day off.
We went to this thing called the Calanques, I think, out of Marseille, which is super interesting. I won't dwell on it, but what was interesting is it was kind of like these kind of like hidden sort of like little. I can't find it, like not ports, but hidden little coves where people would go in and they'd either boat in there or they'd hike in there and they'd jump off cliffs and swim. And that's where they actually got whatever the Statue of Liberty is made out of. That's where they got copper? All of that. It's not the copper, but it's like the base of it. Yeah. I'm like the marble, I think. I'm like I'm not adding much to this right now. That's where they hauled out all this stuff for the Statue of Liberty. That was kind of interesting. All right, Chad, I'll give it up to you. Do you want to do the onboard stateroom TV live streaming, or I can take it since I?
Why don't you take it, and then I'll chime in with the little bit that I know.
Okay, so BYOD, Bring Your Onboard Device Stateroom TV Streaming is launching exclusively on the Disney Wish. We've actually had this on our airline, which is kind of cool. Christy was asking about why don't they? I think it was you that was talking about it.
Well, I was throwing shade at your airline that there's no seat back entertainment. Yeah. And you said, oh, it's heavy. Well, other airlines include it, whether it's heavy or not, but fine.
So anyways, the gist of it is, well, and you don't have somebody tapping the back of your seat. So like you're trying to sleep and somebody's like,
there's still some jerk tap in the back of your seat.
Yeah, that's probably true. Anyways, the gist of it is they've got a server on board, which your onboard devices, you can bring them on board and you're going to be able to tap into it. And then you're going to be able to access all of I'll just get to the notes here. You'll be able to bring your own device. Stateroom TV streaming is now available for guests on board the Disney Wish. It can be used when you connect onto the DCL guest. Does not require a paid internet package. So you just get the DCL app onto your iPad or your computer. Then using your own device, you can launch the device in the DCL Navigator app from the More tab and then click on the Stateroom TV streaming. You can then browse and watch titles from the Disney On Demand or live TV as well that they have showing. I think it's awesome for families who do watch TV in their staterooms. So now, especially as your kids get older, not everybody wants to watch the same thing and everybody's got their own opinion on what they want to watch. So, the kids can be up in their beds watching stuff on their iPad. And the other thing that makes it kind of nice too is if you have younger ones, is maybe they're taking a nap or they're sleeping, and instead of having to turn the TV on, you can now just, watch something on your own device too. So those are my kind of thoughts. Chad, thoughts?
Can I get the ship information channel that shows where I'm sailing? Because that's 90% of what's on my stateroom TV. So as long as I can get that and I can sit by the pool with a drink and then watch where the ship is going, I will be happy as a clam.
That'd be cool, actually.
Is happy as a clam a thing? Are
Yeah.
clams happy? I don't know. Did I get that wrong?
It is a phrase that people say. I don't know why they say it, but.
Christy, any thoughts about being able to take your own device down to the lounge and be watching something while trivia's going on or whatever else you're going to be doing?
The one thing I would say is when you are, and there are definitely families that bring, and this will be helpful, that bring entertainment to dinner, or if you want to bring it anywhere else, just bring headphones, or maybe, my son will still at 9, if he wants to watch a show in public or watch TV in public, he has to do it without sound on. And even at 9, he will sit and watch his cartoon without sound on because that's his only option. Because I will not let noise come out of a phone in public. This is for myself or for my child, whatever you're doing, playing a video game, watching a show. So I would just say, if you want to tune in, bring your kids' headphones to dinner. Like we used to keep it when we wanted to bring headphones in a little backpack, and we would just carry that backpack to dinner. It had like some activities, coloring type activities for them. We still take that backpack to dinner, and you can have headphones if you're going to use it, so that if the family next to you is not watching TV, they also don't have to participate in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or whatever the cartoon is.
I think this is a good workaround, or whatever you want to call it, for the terrible TV placement on the Wish. So I'd heard something the other day, and I've only seen it just in a one social media post, and then maybe another one, but that some people have been saying that they were getting some articulating TV arms to actually pull that thing out from the wall and actually turn it. But that space between the bed and where that TV is tight. So if you're talking about trying to pull that thing out or pivot it in some way, I mean, you'd have to basically duck or push the TV back, which is probably going to lead to damaged TVs over time. I don't know. I think it's a reasonable workaround to be able to give a kid who's maybe up in their bunk, if they've got an iPad or a phone or something with them, that they can watch it and then not have to sort of be craning their neck around to sort of see the TV that's in front of the main bed. I don't know. It's not a perfect solution, but it's something.
It is. And my son still drinks milk before he goes to bed, and now he drinks it in his little bunk bed. So if he can actually watch some TV, that would be helpful.
And once again, just to remember, I'm losing my voice today for some reason. Sorry.
You sound bored of your own show that you're doing, Steve.
I know. I did. Just remember that this bring your own device thing is only being rolled out on the Wish right now. So it's only on the Wish, not on the other 4 ships. Okay. I feel
like they could easily bring it though, right? Like hopefully this is something. This is going to be a shift. They have to work on the internet on some of those ships first. But
if indeed the internet's actually been truly upgraded in the way that they say they're upgrading. But let's be honest, the pace of change with technology on Disney Cruise Line over the last 6 months is like lightning fast compared to what's been there for the last 10 or 15 years.
That is very true.
I mean, look at the snowball. Who knows what's next?
They have added a bunch of stuff on I'm trying to think. They've added a couple different things on the app lately too that's a little bit different. So, and I'm drawing a blank.
Oh yeah, like you even log in differently. It now says every time you log in, are you on a cruise or are you?
Well, and I keep seeing people talking about. I think Dennis was on earlier. I think he mentioned how quickly he logged in and stuff the other day, and was able to take care of all of his stuff. Based on Christy. For check-in. So I
just had a client though that took
I don't know
2 hours.
Oh, hit or miss then.
Like within the last week. So we did have the touring plans blogger on the show that we published a week ago, and I reached out because Joe said, "Hey, why didn't you ask what her key login time was for logging in?" Because she shared in her how to be more effective on a Disney cruise or the most efficient, that she would look to see how many ships are checking in. So how many cruises are leaving the same day her cruise is leaving. She adds 30 minutes to every single ship that was checking in. And then she checks in, comes online, basically 30 minutes times the number of ships checking in, and then breezes through the check-in process. I mean, I got to love a data analysis person who like tries to come up with more efficient ways for us to do a cruise. So if you have not listened to that episode, it was like 2 or 3 episodes ago. Give it a listen. It is fascinating. She told so many fascinating pieces of information. But that one we didn't ask more questions about because we also had like a half an hour to record that show. And so we had to get in and get out, but there was definitely more we could get. So add 30 minutes and see what it does for your check-in time.
So show 315 was Becky from Touring Plans. Yeah, really good show, especially for if you want to maximize stuff. So before we get out of here, any other, we're going to touch on what's going on at Walt Disney World, but any other Disney Cruise Line topics that I might have missed or that you guys thought about? No, popping up. All right, Christy, what's going on at Walt Disney World for those that are maybe heading down for cruises and spending time in the parks this summer or later in the spring?
And we're about to be key into spring break time. So if you are heading down, Flower and Garden Festival is occurring at Epcot right now. Gosh, those topiaries are beautiful. So I think that my favorite festival is the Festival of the Arts in terms of the unique offerings that occur and the actual art that you can see around the park and the artist. But in terms of beauty, Flower and Garden Festival is the most beautiful festival and would be my favorite in terms of decorations of the park. So there's just topiaries all throughout. They are gorgeous. They have a scavenger hunt as per usual that you can go around and look for what's that little, it's not orange bird, but it's the little bee, Spike the bee. And then for Easter in like a week or two, they're going to come out with their Easter egg hunt that only occurs until Easter. So if you're in during that period of time, you can see it. Tron is about to open, as we discussed. I think it opens April 2nd. And then Harmonious. Well, so we're going back and forth because I think I added these notes and I jumped parks back and forth. So I apologize. First, let's talk about Happily Ever After is coming back to the Magic Kingdom. Enchantment is playing its final time on April 2nd. And last night they were testing something, Dave said, at 12:30. So they were testing fireworks and it was a full fireworks show. And there wasn't any reason that I could think of that there were fireworks occurring at 12:30 last night. So my guess is they are starting to test. What I personally am hopeful will happen is that they will because the pyro in Enchantment was way better than Happily Ever After. But the musical score and the feelings you get from Happily Ever After were way better than Enchantment. So I would like them to meld them together and give us pyro and the things on the castle. What are those called?
The
projections.
Projection mapping.
Projection mapping from Enchantment with the Happily Ever After music. I hope that is coming, fingers crossed. And then back to Epcot. Harmonious last show is April 2nd. Thank God those barges are leaving. I'm kind of sad about Harmonious leaving because it really is a good show, minus the ridiculously giant barges that take up the middle of World Showcase or the lagoon in the middle, which World Showcase isn't even called that anymore. And I don't know. I don't do new names. So the new show, we don't know when that'll start. They're bringing back the Crazy Kite Show, Epcot Forever, which was just, not.
I thought you were going to say Kite Tales.
I know, not the Animal Kingdom show, but there were kites in Epcot Forever, and Epcot Forever is kind of a garbage show. So I hope though that they come up with something really good as a result. So.
I mean, don't you think that's kind of a filler right now until they kind of made this
1,000% a filler.
Right.
But I wish they could have figured out just how to do Harmonious without the barges. Like, get rid of the barges. The music and the pyro is so good. I don't necessarily need like Simba on the circle that only some people can see in the middle of the one giant barge that they projected stuff on. So I don't know. That's what's happening, though. Lots of things. I'm going to have to go and see Harmonious again before it ends because it really is a really good show. And I actually don't hate. I love actually that they did the music in the different like vocals for those countries. Like, I think that makes it much more unique for Epcot. Like it fits. So I really do hope they bring some of that in.
I never saw Harmonious. Did you, Chad?
No, I was just thinking about that. I'm actually really disappointed because, like Christy said, like I've heard great things about the show itself, other than just the hideous barges that are just out there during the day. But the last trip that we had there, we were just too tired to get back there. We had plans to kind of go back to go do it, and then by the time we got back to our places, we were staying at Animal Kingdom, and by the time we got back there, just unwound. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm done. So,
Steve, do you have any layovers? You should.
I've got one, but it's late.
But Harmonious is late.
Well,
I mean, but true. You're paying for a ticket to go,
yeah,
so I guess that's something to consider. Honestly, you guys can look it up online because then you can see. Because the other problem with Harmonious is they do the projection on the one ridiculous bar,
the Stargate.
Yes, the Stargate barge. And you can't see that from everywhere. So you can just watch it online. Somebody will have a great view, but you can listen to the beautiful music. It really is unique and really nice. I
was staying away from it online just because I wanted to actually see it in person. But now at this point that I'm not going to get to do it, I might as well watch it.
Watch it online.
Yeah.
And then the 50th is ending and the 100th is starting in some way, we understand, around Walt Disney World, but nobody knows what that is yet, except we have a ton of 100th merch and like a bunch of it is sold out. But then Disney was trying to still sell the 50th merch because they came out with like a last effort bit of merch. Like they literally called it like the last chance merch. So stupid. I don't know why this merch came out so late. Like they didn't come out with it until January. This 50th had been going on for a year and a quarter by then.
Did I hear that the 50th merch is starting to show up in the discount stores and stuff now too?
Probably.
that should be the last chance merch is the discount stores, right?
So, but why sell the 100th merch before you finish selling the 50th? They're competing with their own self.
They haven't announced like a special day like they had for the 50th, where all the vloggers had to show up and
not that I know of yet. It's very possible that I'm missing something. What are they going to do? I mean, they did literally nothing for the 50th of the park for the day all of us showed up. So, they probably don't have to do too much.
That's true. Last couple comments here before we get out of here. Derry says they did give us entirely different ports last summer to replace Russia, Finland, and Estonia. So, although I think everything this year, knowing that they're not going to be able to go to St. Petersburg, has been adjusted. So, other than the two that they have announced, I wouldn't expect there to be too many other changes, unless I'm losing my brain tonight. Unless the heat wave that hit Europe last year affects the rivers and maybe some of the ports there. And then also Jerry says it's hard to swallow the cost of those barges and what else that funding could have done. I agree.
I mean, I need somebody, touring plans. I need you guys to tell me what you guys think the cost of that barge is and how much per day Disney paid for those barges to be located in those lakes because think of all of the cast member dollars and salary that could be paid instead of the ridiculous money that was paid for those barges.
So I work in a very different industry, but I will tell you that when we buy equipment for our plants, those are amortized over many, many years and not something that it's paid off within 2.
It hasn't even been 2 years. It'll be 2 years in October. So the barges will have been gone before 2 years. The big, mammoth, ridiculous barges.
Yep.
So 10 years from now, your ticket price is going to be a reflection of those barges still.
Well, right?
That's why Genie Plus is now $30 a day.
Yeah. All right. Before we get out of here, I thought we'd go around and talk about where you can find us, where we're headed to next. Who wants to go first? Anybody want to? Don't jump on it too quickly. I guess I'll go first. We are headed to Alani in 2 weeks to spend a week there with my parents and we've been to Hawaii for quite a while, which is going to be kind of cool. So I'm going to put a post up on the website.
We haven't been to Hawaii in quite a while. We don't all have this privilege, Steve.
That did sound a little.
But we are very happy that you and your family are getting to enjoy your spring break in Hawaii.
That did sound a little obnoxious. Okay, I take that back. So we're using our DVC points. So it's a total blowout using our DVC points to stay there. So there is that. Anyways, long story short, I will put a post up on the Facebook group. If anybody has any questions about Hawaii, we're going to try and do some snorkeling, some scuba diving, definitely doing some boogie boarding over on the east side of the island. And if anybody has any questions that we can look out for you, if you're going to be heading there soon, which I know that Chad, you and your family are heading to Hawaii sometime soon too. What are you guys coming up? Spring break and maybe the summer.
No, right after school gets out, we're going. So my first trip to Hawaii since 2005. So beat that, Steve. So we're going to do a couple island hops. So we're going to go start at the Big Island for about 5 days, and then jump over to Oahu and stay a couple nights in Waikiki. Try to do the touristy things, and then close with 5 nights for our first time at Aulani. So really, really excited about that trip. We hit the double digits days for that just today. So 99 days, and I am out of here.
I love it. You guys.
No one listening, please rob my house. Don't rob my house.
You guys have so much planned. I cannot wait to hear about it and kind of follow along as you guys are over there. What's your next cruise?
So right now we don't have anything booked until summer 2024, which is just unbelievable. I mean, right now we've got a placeholder that's kind of burning a hole in our pockets. But I'm trying to figure out like how and when we can use it. And frankly, just with the time that we're taking off for both Hawaii and for Europe, as well as kids' schedules and stuff like that, I'm struggling to see how we're going to cruise again beyond that, other than probably New Year. I'm actually waiting to see what's coming out for DCL's New Year's 2024 cruises. So that's what I'm really waiting for. I think we'd like to jump on one of those. I know it's like October-ish, something like that by the time that comes out. So we'll figure it out. But at some point I got to use this placeholder, and either I'm going to get the 10% off or not, but the $250 is burned at this point. So we'll see.
Well,
I get to use it. Yeah. Right. I get to use it, but still.
Yeah.
But so that's our big thing. So I'd really like to. My wish list is the fantasies on an Eastern that week, because I'm itching to get back on that itinerary. But maybe the treasures
you won't be able to use the 10% off, because
that's
Christmas and New Year's Eve will be excluded.
That's right.
And if you're on the fantasy, you have to hit one of those 2 weeks if it's over school break.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but maybe it's the treasure by then. Who knows? Because if it's going to come out late 2024, right? So
what are they going to do? And then where are they going to put the fantasy?
That'll go to Fort Lauderdale probably. So my call on Port Canaveral is that you're going to get all 3 of the new ships sailing out of there, because you have the LNG infrastructure, right? And then you're going to get the Wish sailing on Mondays and Fridays, and then the Treasure on Saturdays, and then ship number 3 on Sundays. And then those will do alternating 7 nights. So one goes east, one goes west. That's my call.
I'm really curious about that, because the Wish is beautiful, and she's got so many great things, but she's got some problems with dining, and you can put up with dining problems for a couple of days, but you can't. It'll be harder to put up with dining for 7 days. So what are they going to do about that? And we already have talked about before that it's really hard to change the galleys. They can change the serving locations or the little serving stations, which I'm sure they'll do. But I think they have that galley. So how are they going to solve their problems?
My big problem with the Wish and dining is just how closely those tables are stacked together. I mean, you can't in order to get for me to get out of my seat at Marvel to go use the restroom, like a waiter had to exit the row where he was taking an order for somebody else. It's insane, like how close those things are. So I don't know. Yeah. You put fewer tables. That ain't going to happen. Make stages smaller.
Smaller stages for sure, right? Yeah. Things like that. Smaller walkways, because even in Marvel, that walkway is pretty big. But yeah. So they have some stuff to work out. Yeah. Up next for me this week, I go at the end of the week on the largest cruise ship currently sailing in the United States market, which is the Wonder of the Seas. So I will be posting mostly on Instagram probably is where I end up posting Pack Your Pixie Dust. I don't even know when this show is going to air, but I will be on that ship and hoping that we like it. It's very big.
You've been on Oasis class before.
I've only been on one time, and it was a preview cruise that there was nobody else on. 750 total guests or something like that were on my Oasis class ship. So we haven't, as a family, sailed on an Oasis ship. The shows I've been told are the best, really great. So I'm very much looking forward to them. But the people, it's gonna be people.
Don't sleep on those. The Aqua Theater shows are amazing.
Yeah. So we already have our tickets or whatever for the one show we could register for. If we see anything else pop up, we'll definitely be seeing those too.
Is Dave and Blake going on this one?
Oh yeah, that's our family trip.
Okay. Well, if Christy is able to find her way off the Wonder of the Seas and doesn't get lost somewhere on there, we will definitely bring her trip report to you so we can find out all about it.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is that we will do snippets because the three of us hosts, so Chris and you and I, are not in the country at the same time or aren't not on vacation until April. So we bounce one after another through the rest of the month. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, Dave and I will do snippets.
There we go. Well, any final thoughts, Chad? Thanks for coming on and helping us out tonight.
No, this was a blast. Thanks for having me. Always fun to talk to you guys.
Christy, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I've had so many thoughts today that I should probably stop having thoughts.
You're done with your thoughts. I don't have anything else either. So, but thank you, Dennis, Derry, and Lake for hanging out with us, and everybody else that watched it live. And thanks for all of you who come back and listen to us each and every week and support our show. Chad, thank you so much for helping out with this again tonight. And from Chris, who is on the Wonder right now, and I'll let Christy say goodbye for herself, but from me, just thank you so much. Be safe out there as you travel for the holiday weekends, for spring breaks, and just enjoy your time with family and friends. We'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.